And welcome back, YouTube. Trying to loose my little suction cup out of my sunshade. Still never did find the second suction cup that I lost the day that I unpackaged that, or I bought it from the 99-cent only store. Presumably, it's still hidden underneath my car seat somewhere. Yeah, it's way past time I did a deep cleaning on this car. And it is hot out here. Oh my God, where did I put my car keys? Oh shit, I did not lose. Oh, they're lost. They're in the ignition. Why would I think to look for them there? Oh, okay, so time and date. It's still Tuesday, it's the 13th. 2:43 p.m. I did meet Michael. He was actually behind the bar. It was a little bit of an awkward moment, but as first impressions go, I don't think it was like the greatest first impression, but I don't think it was terrible. I handed him a blank card instead of a business card. I just pulled a pile out of the box from Vistaprint. Didn't realize that they put a blank one in there as a spacer. So that was awkward, but amusing. And actually ended up being some much needed comic relief. So. And there's a smart car parked in the last parking space on the left there, and it's making for a blind corner for me to see oncoming traffic pulling out of there. Whoa, that was weird. When I hit the gas that time, it didn't accelerate the way it normally does. I need to turn the blower down on the AC because it's not blowing cold. It always takes a while for that to. Always takes a while for the AC to get to the point where blowing air through it actually puts cold air through the vents, and that's a normal thing with any car air conditioning in the Phoenix area. It's just so brutally hot here in the summertime. So meeting with Michael, it was a little bit awkward. I'm more often than not pretty awkward in person. And that's one of the things that makes me wish I had an agent to land me these gigs, as opposed to out trying to find them myself, because I am super, super awkward in person. And I'm sure part of that is, being on the spectrum, but I don't know, it's just me, I guess. But I introduced him. I couldn't remember the name of the person who told me, which is fine, because the person who told me, it said, I had asked them, well, hey, should I use you as a reference? And they said no. So that's never a really good sign. All right, we got a jaywalker. Good times. This is a really crazy strode for anybody to try to jaywalk across. Indian School on the west side in Central Phoenix is, I think, probably the widest strode in Phoenix. We got 4 lanes for westbound traffic, 3 lanes for eastbound traffic, and a center check-in lane for left-hand turns. And what the hell was all that? Yikes! There's a crap in the road. Hope that didn't hurt my tires. And of course, no bike lanes and fairly narrow sidewalks. Welcome to Phoenix. And there are pedestrians in this area, but it's mostly homeless people. Katrina just told me I could come. There's a real cheap, easy, dirty joke in there. I'm just gonna leave that alone. Yes, I am texting and driving. I just let her know I'm on my way to her place. I actually woke up, not the first time. The first time I woke up was around 9 a.m.-ish, and that was when I saw a message from Priscilla. I don't even want to talk about that. And saw the text message from Victoria, K-Power, HR person that I directly report to. The HR person for K-Power that I had my interview with, which was Raphael, I have not seen him in weeks. I don't know what the deal is with him, but I do know he actually lives in Texas. So it could be it's to the point where Victoria is handling stuff there here in Litchfield Park, and he's no longer really needed. I really don't know. I don't understand how that stuff really works, and it's not really explained to me because apparently it's none of my business. All right, Katrina's definitely waiting for me. Sometimes I get frustrated. She's a typical woman, doesn't follow directions. The last text message I sent to her, I specifically told her to call me because I don't see text messages when I'm driving. And generally speaking, I don't see text messages when I'm driving. Especially since text messages are coming through my iPhone, which is sitting on the passenger seat. Because I'm shooting video with Obamaphone 3. Since it doesn't have the overheating or the running out of space problems that the iPhone has. Take a look at the overpass, the pedestrian part of the overpass on the left side. I'm not sure how well y'all are going to be able to see it in the video, but for some reason the north side not as bad, but the one on the south side just always seems to be a homeless encampment these days. And it's kind of hard for me to see. It looks like there's a tarp up there. I can only see some people moving around. It's far enough away I can't really see it very well from here. Because at this point, the Strode is that is Indian School. Should change it from Indian School Road to Indian School Strode. That would be awesome. Yeah, it's exceptionally wide. God, I'm not sure how many lanes on the side I'm on, but I mean, there's two left turn lanes for eastbound traffic headed south, and there's also two left turn lanes for westbound traffic headed north. And oh shit, my temperature gauge is climbing. Not enough to be worried about, but just the fact that it's even climbing makes me worried, especially given the history of this car. And my air not blowing hot, but not blowing particularly cold either. It's definitely blowing cooler than outside air. Turning the fan up high is not helping. It's kind of a trick I've learned in Arizona. Most people, as instinct, will just turn their air blower on high, and I've found that sometimes it's more effective to run the blower at a low level because it allows the condenser, well, not the condenser, but what do you call it? The box, the box where the cooling coils are. It allows the air to sit in the cooling coils, which might not be as effective as they need to be because everything is just so damn hot here. It allows the air to sit in there a little bit longer and get cooler, and get a little bit cooler, and thus, even though it's not blowing as much air, the air it's blowing is cooler and therefore a little more effective at cooling off the car, which is brutally hot right now. Yeah, see, I left it on the lowest setting for a little bit. Now I just kicked it up one, and the air coming out of it's considerably cooler than what it was when I tried to crank it up. So, yeah, I sent a text message right before I left the bar, because while I was on the way and I was vlogging, I didn't notice that Katrina had been texting me, and left a text message to her telling her to call me, because I don't see text messages while I'm driving. So what does she do? Responds twice by text. Awesome. You know, if I ever meet a woman that explicitly follows my directions to the letter, as long as the sex is on point, I would probably marry her. Of course, the reality is, if I met a woman and the sex was always on point, I'd probably marry her anyway. Which reminds me of this joke that I heard once about, I can't even get that joke right. No point in me even saying it. Something about a guy who was courting 3 women, and talks about how they managed money. And what I should be looking at right now, rather than trying to remember how to tell bad jokes, is a traffic aggregate. It's 2:52 p.m. and we're well into shitty afternoon traffic here in the valley. I should be looking at the traffic aggregate to see what I'm facing on I-10, and if I in fact do even want to get on I-10. Oh my god, the iPhone is just hot as fuck from sitting there in the sun on the passenger seat. Move it next to my parking brake handle that I never use. Yeah, the fact that I'm already hitting this kind of traffic on southbound I-17 here is a sign that I need to be paying attention to the traffic aggregate as opposed to just driving. Oh yeah, it's clearly a clusterfuck. And it is refreshing so slow. Oh yeah, what the fuck was I thinking? I need to get that second phone mount put up in this car like I was talking about months ago. So I can have Obamaphone 3 up where it is, shooting video. Or maybe potentially someplace where I get an even better angle for video. And have my iPhone somewhere where I can see it showing me what the traffic is. And allowing me to see the messages and stuff coming in and out from people. Well, coming in from people, not out. Yeah, probably shouldn't be sending messages while I'm driving. Although I honestly do feel that's fair game at red lights and when I'm stopped. But I do seem to do a better job than most people at when I'm doing that at a red light, also paying attention to the color of the light and going when the light changes. Oh, fuck this traffic. You know, I'm normally sound asleep this time of day, and traffic isn't something I even have to think about. So probably should have went out. I probably should have just stayed on Indian School. Probably should have done. Katrina lives reasonably close to. I was thinking of turning right there, but that doesn't get me to where I'm going. That King's Inn that I just passed, crazy sketchy place. I had some crazy experiences just in my 2 years ago, just in my short 4-day tenure of driving, being a cab driver again for VIP taxi, all in that hotel. And it seems like I recently saw something in the news about there being a murder happening there, or maybe it was just some kind of crazy violence or something. I don't know. It shows up in local news from time to time, but on a 1 to 10 scale of sketchiness, that place is a solid 9. Yeah, the rooms don't even have phones in them, so the front desk can't even call into a room for somebody. Now my temperature gauge is getting up to the point where I need to be concerned about it, so time to turn the air conditioning off, roll down a window, which isn't to say I'm up in the red, but it's I would like it if the temperature gauge was like something really accurate that showed like an actual temperature, like maybe a digital number, and maybe change colors depending on how crucial that number was. But no, it's just I know it's an electronic gauge as opposed to a true analog gauge, but it looks like an analog gauge. But it basically has a marking in the center, a marking at the top, a marking at the bottom, and then it's got little smaller markings at the halfway between the center and the top and the center and the bottom. And then it's marked, it's got like a little red spot between the halfway point of the halfway mark and then the mark at the top, so what would be the top eighth of it. Anyway, while I was sitting at that last red light, it started to hover just above that 3/4 white mark. Right now it's dipped just a little bit below it. But yeah, once it gets there, that's when I start to get concerned. And at that point, is that as pointless as Priscilla being concerned because her check engine light came on? I don't know. I do have reason to believe that gauge is inaccurate. And all right, way to turn right into the wrong lane, you asshole. And now he's got his right blinker on because apparently he actually wanted to be in the right lane before turning in the wrong lane. That's what I call driving the wrong way. So, anyway, as inaccurate and uninformative as that gauge is, it does seem to accurately reflect temperature changes in my cooling system. So I do kind of pay attention to it. Oh man, I'm headed for fuck this. So I don't know if that is an indication that my cooling fan has given up again. Because it's an electric fan. I got electric fans. There's 2 electric fans on that help with airflow through my radiator and condenser in this car. Man, I miss the way older cars worked, where the fan was just bolted to the front of your engine, and as long as your engine was turning, your fan was turning, providing cooling and airflow at all times. Like, I don't understand. That was such a simple and functional mechanism, and I don't understand why car companies got away from that in favor of electric fans that can fail when the motor goes out, or can fail when they're not getting electricity for whatever reason, including but not limited to a fuse blowing. And the issue I seem to have now is that this electrical system regularly blows fuses, but I don't know what's causing that. Probably be trying to get to Rob's shop right now as opposed to... Now, this is interesting. This is the intersection of 31st and Encano, and instead of being a 4-way stop or 4-way intersection, they put up, and apparently it's been there for a long time, put up a barrier to where if you're coming from the south, you have to leave out the east, and if you're coming from the north, you have to leave out the west. Apparently put in place that way by the city of Phoenix to separate residential traffic for the area I'm in, and industrial traffic from the other area. Because you can see on the north side of the road, it's industrial, and it doesn't seem like there's any local streets that connect where I'm at on Encano to the industrial area to the north. Boy, we've got some interesting homeless encampments on the right. I don't know that I've ever driven down this stretch of Encano. Alright, my temperature gauge went down to what I would consider to be a normal operating place. So I'm going to try to turn my air conditioning back on. Cross my fingers that, well, there's no point in turning it on here while we're sitting. At this point, I almost wish I had an LED somewhere in my dash just to indicate when the fan is blowing. That way I know when the fan is working or not, since that's so crucial to this car. But yeah, I highly suspect it's blowing that fuse again. I mean, because it's been blowing that fuse, and Rob hasn't told me about any sort of thing that he's repaired to solve that problem. I just know every time I take it to him, he replaces that fuse, and it blows it again. And obviously the solution isn't just put a bigger fuse in it, although I could imagine he keeps putting a bigger fuse in it. Because there comes a point where if you put too big of a fuse in it, you're just going to allow it to draw so much power that the fan burns itself up. So... on that note, hey, if anybody who watches this channel is a car electrical specialist who's good at fixing these sort of things, please leave their contact information in the comments section, because as good as Rob is as a general mechanic, and the people he has seems to get most things done, yeah, there's definitely an electrical issue within this car that is eluding him. Alright, it's getting so hot I'm starting to get sweat on my eyelids, which is not a good thing. You know, if the city of Phoenix, just as a whole, adopted flip-flopping business hours and everything, it would make summertimes here so much better. I mean, just imagine if everybody who worked 9 to 5 in Phoenix worked from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. when it's beautiful out, as opposed to being out when cars overheat and blow up and it's just so hot that it's brutally unhealthy to walk, and so on and so forth. I'm so eager to get myself back on what was a normal to me overnight schedule. I do not like being out in the sunlight, and not like being out in this heat, not like driving in all this crap traffic. I mean, granted, I volunteered for what I'm doing right now. This is just me going to pick up Katrina. She's on her way to follow up on a application with a logistics company, so she wanted to be proactive and talk to them versus just waiting for them to call her back, which I don't, from most everything I've heard, that's a wasted effort in today's job market. But I'll be honest, I just want to spend some time with Katrina. I do. Well, my interaction with Priscilla, although there was a little bit of sexy time and a little bit of good quality time together, it was the good time was such small portions interspersed with a lot of really bad and frustrating times. And I got another red light, so I expect my temperature gauge is going to start creeping again. All right, it's just above the center point right now, and my air is blowing nice and cold. So hopefully I can cool down the interior of the car before my temperature gauge starts creeping out. Starts creeping up again as a result of being stuck at this damn red light. I'd still rather deal with the stop and go and all these red lights than be stuck in gridlock on the I-10. Oh yeah, no, that's a non-starter. Just turning the AC on, I could see the gauge start climbing again. It didn't take long for the cool air blowing to suddenly become not so cool. Yeah, looking at the I-10 traffic aggregate, it's fair to mostly shitty all the way to 75th Avenue. And there's an accident near 75th Avenue. It's hard to tell with where the dot is, whether it's on the eastbound or westbound side. At any rate, if I was on the I-10, I would be getting off the freeway at 91st Avenue to come north to Thomas. So, yeah, it makes no sense to head down to I-10 at this point. I may as well just stay on Thomas all the way to almost 91st. I forget the street I actually turned left on. Sometimes I don't remember exact street names. I just remember them in my head as almost whatever it is, because I know I'm not turning left on I'm not turning left on 91st. I'm turning left on almost 91st, and I'll sort that out when I get there. Which sounds nonsensical, but that is honestly the way I've navigated forever, and the way I navigate as a cab driver. And I think why I don't do well with like these GPS navigation systems, because they're not going to call that street almost 91st. They're going to call it something else. And my internal voice calls it almost 91st. And unless I know it is something else, it just needs to be almost 91st in order for my brain to process everything correctly. little bit of cold air out of the AC, and the temperature gauge went down notably while I was moving. You know, it used to be the lights on this stretch of Thomas were perfectly synchronized at about 40 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour. And if you drove between 40 and 45, you would get everyone green. All right, that was not a bad weight. I get the feeling maybe they're still kind of synchronized like that, but with some additional priority going on for left turn arrows, which is a good thing. I distinctly remember what driving in Phoenix was like when there were hardly any left turn arrows anywhere, and it was pretty chaotic. Although that was when I learned one of what I consider to be one of my most important life lessons, which is while two wrongs don't make a right, most of the time 3 rights will make a left. So, I should make a t-shirt that says that. Yeah, back in the day, it used to be very difficult to make left turns at the major strode intersections in the valley. And I compensated for that as a cab driver for picking my routes in such a way where instead of needing to make 1 left, I would instead make 3 rights. And it was very effective, and even though I might end up going a couple miles farther, I typically got to my destinations faster. I should really be looking for a driving job right now. What should we do? I don't know. I like being a forklift operator. I do. I really, really love being, and I really, really like working where I work at. It's just the commute there is absolute hell. The location is just not working for me, living so far away. And I got 59th Avenue almost green. That tells me I'm a little bit behind the synchronization, so I need to drive a little faster. Maybe that synchronization trick does still work. I just haven't been paying attention to it. Yeah, I really, really enjoy driving a forklift, and I worry that it's one of those skills that if I stop doing it on the regular, that I'll lose it. Very, very concerned about that. But wow, I'm actually coming near that Chase branch where that guy was really, really nice while I was on the verge of having a mental meltdown. It was actually one of the, actually the 2 best bankers that I've interacted with in quite some time were both at Chase branches, come to think of it. One was the guy who uncovered how much I was basically eating a $25 a month service fee and had been for a while on an account that I absolutely didn't use, and fixed that for me amongst several other things. And then the other was a guy who just realized I was trying to handle more things, but that the most important thing I needed was just some space and 4 digits on a piece of paper when the robot asked for it. Specifically when the robot asked for it, and just a safe space to make safe, air-conditioned, shady, not overly bright space to make that phone call. With some patience and some understanding. Anyway, I'd like to go back to the banker and handle the other stuff I need to handle at Chase. But I'm still trying to get to Katrina's place. I wonder if she's texted me back, even though I told her not to text me, but to call me. No, she hasn't. Temperature, I got my air kind of working again. Temperature gauge climbed a little bit at that red light, not enough to be concerned about. And I do believe that was 67th Avenue. Yeah, it's definitely 67th Avenue. my KWSS back on. And I am getting concerned now. It's like 3:12 p.m. and I'm concerned that by the time I manage to get myself all the way to where Katrina is, and by the time we get to where this logistics company is, which I think is just, I get the feeling just from what little bit she sent me, is a staffing company. But maybe that's, you know, like I was mentioning earlier, that I feel like I would do better at getting karaoke gigs if I had an agent that was out bidding my gigs for me. And I just simply went and did the gigs, but I don't know how I would get an agent for that sort of thing. And maybe what I need to look at is, you know, maybe this company that she's wanting to go to. I forget this song. I love this. I haven't heard this in forever. I'm hoping I get an identity content match on this so I can look in my video description to see what the hell this song is. I do not have that song in my personal collection, but I remember when that used to get alternative airplay. Alright, this is 75th Avenue. The bank branch I was talking about is right in that building, in the pad on the corner on the left, where on this side it is a Skechers outlet store. Yeah, this intersection, 75th and Thomas, is kind of the epicenter of this part of town in terms of retail. 99-cent only store I've gone to many times. And you got the Desert Sky Transit Center coming up on the left, which I've done a couple videos about. And the Desert Sky Mall that originally was the Westridge Mall. Building on the left looks to be some kind of restaurant. If memory serves, that used to be a Poncho's. God, I miss Poncho's Mexican buffet. That used to be it used to be literally my favorite place to eat when I was younger, like much younger.
Right now on KWSS 93.9.
They didn't say what the song was. KWSS is pretty much a completely automated station. There's no live DJs in there. Even when it sounds like there's a live DJ, it's somebody pre-recording their breaks through automation. All right, this is 83rd Avenue, so I got roughly a mile of driving left. And since I'm not trying to lead y'all to Katrina's front door, I think I'm going to wrap this up before I get to almost 91st. Any conclusions I was trying to get to, or am I just driving aimlessly, talking? Oh, I'm not aimlessly, I have a direction. Talking to myself. Yes, I was trying to mention that the place that we're going to, which we might not get to in time for it to be useful, is a logistics staffing company. And maybe by getting an application there, I can make it very clear that they can act as agents. You know, I'm hoping, maybe, just maybe, because I get the feeling K-Power just seems to only be exclusively with the warehouse I'm at, or maybe the people I'm dealing with are, you know, hired me specifically for that, and I haven't really talked to them about, hey, what other warehouses you guys will represent? Because could I be a K-Power employee and work someplace that's not so god-awful for me in terms of commute and hours? Because y'all know I'm a skilled forklift driver and somebody who knows a little something about warehousing. Anyway, I'm wondering if maybe this place, and I just put an application myself, will kind of act as an agent for me as a forklift operator, try and help me find a forklift driving job that is an overnight schedule like I like, and that is closer to my home. I think this next street, this looks like it qualifies as almost 91st. So I'm going to turn left here. Thanks for it's actually 88th Avenue. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe if you enjoy listening to me talk to myself while driving around one of the United States least attractive, most car-centric city.